So, have you guys heard what I think is the sexiest news to ever hit Beachbody? We are going to France! I have to say, I did not see this coming. I didn't think that they would go ahead and take the leap over there, but I am so excited. And I am excited for reasons that I don't think other people are aware of. See, here's the thing. I have studied French since I was like 5. This language, this culture, this country, these people have been a love and a passion and a focus of mine for almost 3 decades. And what I've discovered, not just in loving the country, but in really studying everything that it has to teach us as Americans and others all around the world, and trying to figure out what I could bring over there as value, is 3 important things. 1, French women are the epitome of bombshells. So if you're watching this, I salute you, right? Half of my business branding is inspired by the extraordinary, powerful, no apologies, sensual, but sophisticated and understated, gorgeous sexuality of the French female bombshell, right? Love it. It is so compelling, and American women have such a ways to go before we're able to even hold a candle to that power. Number 2 is the beautiful, usually, right? I'm gonna have some caveats here, the beautiful relationship that French people have with food and the physical body. Now, I think that a lot of people are even possibly wondering why a health and wellness company would even need to open in France, right? Isn't everyone there living on the Mediterranean diet, living out the French paradox, gorging on bread and cheese and wine and still fitting into a 00, right? Isn't that the idea? Well, I know from being over there for over the years that that's much more stereotype than reality. And while it is much more true than anything we see over here in the US or in the UK or Canada or Australia, it's a subset of, I'm just going to focus on the women, but certainly both men and women. And there are actually many, many people who are struggling with their weight, not even just in obesity, but even in that subset of beautiful, slim, chic women, a panic of not knowing how to maintain that in a healthy way. And if you look through the French fashion magazines, which I have collected over the years, the French women's magazines, I have hundreds of them literally, then you know that there is not quite a level of obsession the way that we do in the US with celebrities, but a true fascination for sure, and desire and longing to emulate French models, French celebrities who have this magnificent physique and this seeming ease and just effortless beauty and well-being in it, right? And that's actually a lot more of a struggle for French women than we would think, for both those who are truly struggling with their weight, who are a little overweight or very overweight, and those who from the outside seem slim, chic, and to have it all together, who are actually, you know, using cigarettes or using food deprivation or skipping meals or counting calories or eating just little bits of candy for the energy, but really getting terrible nutrition. And when you go over there, you can start to see it in skin and in energy and in mood and in all kinds of other health issues that maybe aren't obviously weight, but that are clearly the results of lack of nutrition and just an overall insufficient attention to the human body's needs, right? So that's the second reason I'm excited, right? First, this extraordinary feminine archetype, really, that is so beautifully embodied by French women. Second, because there actually truly is a need for better body care in France and for a system of attaining these kind of model-esque physiques that are desired and envied, honestly, right? But no one really knows how to get there, right? So it's fascinating to read those magazines, and they're just kind of starting to get into, okay, we really need to focus on nutrition. We really need to focus on vegetables. It's not just about calorie restriction, it's about calorie and nutrition optimization, right? And then the third reason is, and this is so near and dear to my heart, is that there is a fascination in France, I find. And when I've gone over there and I have friends over there and they find out about what I do, and there is just this like, it seems dreamy to them to be an entrepreneur, to actually have control over your own destiny, to be able to chart your own path and to not have to fall into what your parents wanted you to do, or in schools over there, a lot of times your career path is chosen by you or by others around you by the time you're in 8th grade. And that's pretty young to be deciding what you want to do with the rest of your life. And career path changes and adjustments are way less frequent in France than they are in the US, where, if you're not changing your job and if not your entire career, industry every 3 years, you're considered unusual. That is very, very unusual in France. So there's an entrepreneurial dream over there, though, and the startups and the grants for startups and all of the kind of expos and things are absolutely growing, but it's still a minority, and it's still, in many ways, a fantasy, not just because it's uncommon, but because it seems, I think, to them difficult, right? You have to come up with some new invention, some new idea. You have to get a government grant, or you have to build a Kickstarter, or you have to do all these things to, fund your dream, figure it out, publicize it. It's not innate like it is over here in the US, where you just, set up an online business out of your house and your girlfriends are doing the same thing and it's no big deal. It's much more unusual over there, and yet it's something that is so deeply desired, to have more of that time freedom, location freedom, time with family, extra income, and a sense of purpose and identity that you get to control, right? That you get to say, this is who I am, this is what I care about, this is what I'm passionate about, this is what I'm here on the earth to do. And have a say over that and be able to shape that and be able to grow it into something where you're not only able to create incredible income, but you're able to create that kind of impact that makes you feel like your life has been deeply worth living and it's impacted thousands, if not millions, of other people. That is so extraordinary. And I know that when I go over there and I start talking about what I do, they just look at me with like fascination and confusion and desire and longing. And so for Beachbody to come to France and really have this extraordinary opportunity to have a quote unquote business in a box, but for a problem that is, and no offense to other opportunities that are out there, but it is incredibly legitimate, especially in France, where, the slim chic and effortlessly gorgeous woman is a little more stereotyped than reality. And as I said, even those women are often desperately struggling behind the scenes to keep their health up, to maintain that weight, all of this kind of difficulty that is so unnecessary, and that so far they really haven't had an easy, elegant, and no excuses, incredibly efficient solution for. So I am so thrilled that we're going over to France, and for the Americans, I think this is going to be a bit of a confusing launch. I'm just going to say it that way. When we went into Canada, that's one thing, they speak English, they're right next door. When we went over to the UK, okay, it's a little farther, it's a hop across the pond, but they still speak English. We can do this, but the language barrier with France and the much more significant cultural and social norm differences in French culture than between us and, let's say, the UK, I think are going to, in some ways, create not necessarily a true barrier, but a barrier of fear and hesitancy and lack of understanding and a lot of legitimate faux pas as a lot of American Beachbody coaches try to go over there and introduce this opportunity, both for the wellness aspect and for the business aspect. And so I'm excited to be able to lead my coaches with a lot of know-how, a lot of awareness, a deep respect, and an incredible love and passion for, but also true knowledge of and finesse around French culture, French language, French desires, dreams, fears. I've been studying this for over 2 decades now. I've written theses on this, and I'll just toot my own horn a little bit here. When the various times we've gone to France and I'm in charge of getting us around, whether I'm there by myself, which I was for several months, or I'm taking family or friends or somehow leading something there, the taxi cab drivers asked me what part of France I'm from. And they're not trying to flatter me, because if you're familiar with any French stereotypes, there is sometimes a bit of, a distance from people who are not French. And so they're not sitting there trying to kiss up, trust me. So I am thrilled to be able to kind of be a bit of an ambassador or a liaison between these American ideals that I think the French are looking at. And I've read so many articles about this and certainly talked to my own friends over there and those who know it so well, that entrepreneurship and that kind of all-American, just of course you go for it. Of course you take a chance. Of course you just throw yourself out there and try something, right? What's the worst that could happen? That's a little bit intimidating to them, and I cannot wait to bring an opportunity that allows them to jump in with a plan, with a little bit of reassurance, and yet also have that extraordinary opportunity of being a run your own destiny entrepreneur, and to introduce the beautiful kind of reverence for wellness and the female body, even if they don't currently necessarily have really great and easy structures to be able to live that out on a daily basis, to American women. So this opportunity, while I think it's going to confuse a lot of American Beachbody coaches, and they're going to just charge in there all-American style, saying bonjour and doing their best, I think that it's going to be a little bit harder than some of the past launches that Beachbody's done. And yet I think my team, if I may say so, is going to absolutely flourish, because I'm not all French, where all I know is French culture and everything and how it's done, and Beachbody's kind of foreign, and this whole online business thing is a little confusing. I've been running my own online businesses successfully for over 5 years. We're well over the 6-figure mark. We've transformed tens of thousands of women's lives. And so I'm very well versed in the top marketers alive. I'm in all kinds of business masterminds and trainings. I know the cutting edge of online business, and I know French language, French culture, French women, French wellness like the back of my hand, because I have literally written theses on those topics, particularly, frankly, the French femininity, French wellness, French culture, French entrepreneurship over the years. And the opportunity for this to all come together is like, it's going to be the most epic fireworks show in the world. I cannot wait. So if you are either considering joining Beachbody and you've heard about this opportunity, as in the fact that we're expanding to France, and you're like, that would be so cool, because here's the thing, when a company expands to a new country, it's almost, and I know this is, terrible quote unquote network marketing speak, but it's kind of like getting in at the top, if you will, right? Which is truly not something you need to do in order to succeed. Lots of people come on late and jet past everybody else because of their work ethic and their strategies. But there is something to be said for being one of the first to market in a new space. And so every time one of these companies that's proven to be successful, proven to have a solution and a combination of offers that solves a massive problem that people cannot ignore in their everyday lives, and then they take it to a new place where it's bound to have the same impact because the need is the same and human nature and desires and longings are the same, it's going to be like getting in at the top, okay? So if you're considering joining Beachbody, this is the time to do it, because you've got a beautiful long runway before this launch happens next spring, okay? And you're not going to be able to find anyone who is going to be able to capitalize on this in every beautiful way of helping people, maximizing the income, knowing all the online business strategies, and knowing the ins and outs of the very delicate French culture. I mean, there's a reason why when you go into the travel section in a bookstore, there is like a shelf of books on understanding French customs and etiquette, and not, for the UK or Canada, okay? This country deeply respects itself, and I believe it should, it deserves to, and it deeply respects its traditions and its way of interacting as people, as groups. It's beautiful, and if you're not aware of how that works, you're probably going to offend, and you're probably going to be ineffective and certainly inefficient in your attempt to go over there and help to spread this opportunity and to grow your own business. So if this is something that you've been considering, 2 things. Now is your time, and we are your team. Because again, I don't think that the French teams that are going to start up on their own over there are going to know how to integrate into the massive opportunity that Beachbody is, with its LA vibe, right? LA being right down the street from me here. It's a different world that they're getting into, and they're going to need to be introduced to it well. And who better than a team that's all American, and not just in the network marketing world, but that has succeeded on almost all fronts. I mean, I don't yet sell t-shirts and physical products, although that's coming, but almost all fronts of online business. And then from the American side, to be able to know, as someone who's been over there so much and studied it with such depth, literally my desire was to be French, to be mistaken for being French, which I am all the time when I'm over there, to be able to have that respect and that awareness of the etiquette and the language and the desires and the intricacies of that beautiful culture and country and people. So if you're interested in Beachbody at all, if the idea of being in France, going to the French launch party, having a team that's bilingual that takes you over to need to visit them in Paris and all over the beautiful country of France all the time, and being able to impact people there and grow a team here as well, this is your time, this is your team, let's do it, okay? I have a link below where you can send in more information, and I will get back to you shortly to see if this is a good fit. But if you are a French lover, you are a wellness lover, you want to make a difference, and you are strategic, this is absolutely where you should be. So let's get together and let's get started.